So hello everyone, I hope you're all doing okay. Thank you for joining us today. So this is week 3 of the sessions. Now, of those that I was just talking to, I was talking about what clothes to wear, and in windy conditions, rainy conditions and sunny conditions. And obviously when we talked about sunny conditions, it wasn't just really about clothing, it was about things such as sun hats, suntan cream, and suntan lotion as well. So all those things to keep you nice and protected against the barrier. There's a general tip. When you're on the land, you will be warmer than you will be on the water. So when you're on the water, you'll find that the cooling effect of being wet by the splashes, the movement of the wind through the water, so the wind over your skin, that will cool you off more significantly than it would do on the land. So although you might think shorts, t-shirts are great on the land, then as soon as you get in the water, you might start to get yourself get cold. And if you're doing a sailing trip where you're going away from the shore for a while, then you're going to be a little bit stuck if you haven't got something to change into or add a layer to your outfits. So we'll mention sandals as well for sunny weather. It's best to avoid wearing sandals in a boat, especially the open toe style ones, because there's a chance you might get them knocked and kick something. But yeah, it's just best to avoid. All pair of trainers is a good idea, or wet boots are very good as well. Now I'm assuming you can all hear me and see me okay. Just give me a shout, a nod, a thumbs up or something. That would be awesome, just so I know I'm not talking to myself. Okay, excellent, very good. Right, so tonight we're talking about points of sail. So first week we talked about how boats move and stop. Remember, when you're sailing, you point yourself into the wind, and that can be illustrated by this point here. This boat here is head to wind, so it's not going to be proceeding into the wind very fast. If it's got some momentum, it will carry on a little bit, but then eventually it will stop. If you push the boom out, remember we looked at the idea of coming alongside a boat in first session. If you push the boom out, that can act as an additional brake to help you stop. So that's pushing basically the sail against the wind. But if you're holding it there, then eventually you will start to move backwards. So that was in the first session, and what we're going to look at tonight is what we call points of sail. So these are the different directions in which your boat will travel on when you're in the water. So if you imagine the wind is coming straight down, I've got this little diagram, I've got a circular motion of different boats heading off in different directions. So when we're sailing, we can't sail directly into the wind, but we can sail at this kind of V-shape position to the wind. So this kind of angle here is what we call the no-go zone. We can't really enter that no-go zone. We can do if we're doing a tack and we can pass our nose through it, but we need momentum to do that. So in order to progress our way upwind, up a lake where the wind's coming down, then we need to tack our way up. So we do that by zigzagging our way up, and the best position to make the most progress against the wind is what we call close hauled. So what you can see is you've got the boat pointing on the angle of the wind, so the wind's coming straight down. It's trying to keep to the closest edge of that wind as possible, and you'll always be testing the edge of that wind. So as you're nudging the sail up against the wind, you'll always be kind of picking your position against it, and you'll notice the sail will give you an indication as to whether or not you're getting too close. And I've got a video I'll show you in a second. We'll talk through that. As we go around here, we've got close reach, so that's when you're just slightly further away from the wind. You're not quite on the edge of that no-go zone. You're a touch away from it, but you're not quite on a full reach, and that's what we call a beam reach. So where you beam of your boat is side on to the wind, so the wind is coming on right into the side. Now you need to be careful of your sail positions on this, all these positions here, to make the maximum movement and motion through the water. But in this particular position here, you'll notice the sail's halfway out. If that was in tighter, you might get a capsize. That's something to be aware of. If you would let the sail all the way out, and it would just sag, and it wouldn't catch any wind at all, so you wouldn't make any progress. As we then come further around, then we've got a broad reach, and we've got what we call a run and a dead run. So a run is basically when you're heading downwind from the wind. It might be sometimes called a training run, but effectively you're running away from the wind, you're heading with it. And instead of using your sail as a wing like you would do here to generate lift, you're using your sail more as a parachute, as a chute to actually capture the wind and project you the water. Now, a quick tip that I'll mention here is if you do find yourself in a position where you're heading on downwind and you want to slow down, then obviously in this position here, if you let your sail out further, then all you're going to be really doing is catching more wind, and you'll just carry momentum. So if you do want to slow down when you're heading downwind, then actually what you can do is you can sheet in your sail, bring it in, and that actually reduces this kind of area for catching the wind. So when you're sailing upwind, if you want to reduce power, then one option is to let your sail out. So anything from this position up here, letting your sail out will spill the wind out from your sail. But as you come further down to runs, broad reaches, runs, and dead runs, then letting your sail out is all you're going to do actually there is catch more wind. So it's just something to be aware of. Now, we talk about controls in the boat. So you've got what we call the 5 essentials. So you've got balance and trim, you've got your sail setting, course made good, and then you've got your centreboard. And your centreboard plays an important part in your ability to move upwind and reduce drag downwind. So what you'll notice here is as you're heading upwind, what we do is we actually put our centreboard all the way down. The reason why we do that is it acts as another foil, another grip in the water. If you were to try and sail on a close hauled course with your centreboard up or your daggerboard up, then actually what would happen is you would start to drift, and you wouldn't be kind of sitting as close as you can to that sail position. You'd be drifting downwind a little bit. You'd actually find your course would take you over here rather than up in this direction. So as you go down wind, then actually you want to be lifting that centreboard up. So effectively, a good way to remember is when you're going upwind, when you're close hauled, then you sheet your sails in nice and tight, you're sheeting in nice and tight, your centreboard's all the way down, so you've got maximum grip in the water, and you're keeping that boat as flat as possible by leaning out if it's a strong wind. As you move around to beam reach, then your sail is halfway out and your centreboard is halfway up or halfway down, depending on your outlook on life. And then as you're moving down towards the run and dead run, then actually you don't really need that centreboard. So you take that centreboard up, leave a little bit in, but effectively you want it up out the water. One thing to be very mindful of in some boats is your centreboard height within the boat, because the boom will swing around and it will catch on that centreboard. So you might find yourself in a doing a jibe or a similar maneuver, and your centreboard is so far up that it actually catches on the boom. So get to know your boat and know your position of the centreboard. I'm going to play a quick video now. Let's load up a second, and I'll talk you through this as we go. But this is just to give you an idea as to what it's like to go sailing. Oh, let's stop presenting. There we go. Okay, so we've got a boat here sailing on. It's just coming around a mark, and it's gone into attack. It's taken the nose of the boat through the wind. Now I've changed position now, and I'm letting my sail out. So obviously we're looking down on this. Now in this position here, I'm actually on a reach now, and you can tell that I'm on a reach because my sail's out halfway. And if you look at the water ripples as well, they're kind of in parallel with the boat. So the wind is coming over my my back, over the starboard side of the boat, or the right-hand side of the boat, and hitting that sail. So it's a nice sailing position in. I'm holding the boat nice and flat, nice and centered, and I'll be coming up to a mark soon where I want to change that position. As you change your sailing position, you will always be changing your sails and your controls. So you never really kind of relax as you change position. So here I've gone round. Now what I've done there is I've not jibed, I've not tacked. All I've done is now on a run, and I've let my boom out further, and I'm now using my sail as a parachute. Now with the laser, you've got the option of pushing things out a little bit further as you sail, because there's no stays. Remember last week we talked about bits of the boat, and there was these wires that hold the mast up, and they actually prevent the sail from going out too much further. Right, so we've got a little exercise now for you to do work in groups. I'll come and help you position yourself in groups, but I'd like you to all, I'll put it in chat. You're going to go to the whiteboard, and the link's just in the main chat here. So I'll push this out to everyone so you can see it. So this is going to be your exercise for this session. You've got a little course that your boat is going to be sailing on. And what I want you to do is I want you to put your sail positions on there. I want you to just put a note as to whether the position of the boat, whether it's close hauled, beam reach, on a run, dead run. Don't worry if you don't get it too perfect, but I want the sail position on there, a note to say what kind of position it's on, and then if you get a chance, in order to move from this position to this one, I want you to just tick as to whether it's you're heading up or bearing away. So heading up is where you're turning the nose of the boat up towards the wind. Bearing away is when you're turning the nose of the boat away from the wind, and that's the direction of wind. So I'll come and help you on the tables, but the link's in the chat. Go to the main chat, launch that up, and have a go at this exercise and try and do it in your group. So we'll try and split you off into kind of 4 on one table and 4 on another. Okay, I'll see you in the main room. Pause this video and have a go yourself. So use this diagram, fill in where you think the sails would be, whether you want to print screen it and use it in Paint or something similar, and tick the boxes to whether or not you're heading up or bearing away. Okay, everyone. So hopefully you've all had a go. Now let's have a look at the answers. We'll go to Ben first. So Ben has said he's on a beam reach there. That's very good. Dead run there. That's very good. So sails right out. The close haul there, it's probably more of a close reach. It's not quite close haul. So that's close haul where you're pointing slightly more closer to wind. So you're really kind of right on the edge of that wind. But that would probably be more of a close reach. And again, this one, that would probably be, it's a bit more of a kind of close reach than a beam reach, but it's kind of right in the middle between a beam reach and a close reach. So that's fine. Sail position wise, just have a look, see if there's any capsize possibilities. So yep, sails out almost kind of on an angle to the wind there. You might find that yeah, it's not too bad. You might just have that just a little bit more there. Might just be a bit tighter on that one, but I suspect that's just more to do with the way the line's been drawn. So excellent example. Let's have a look at Rosie and Kai. So dead run, yep. Close reach, very good. You got that one right. Beam reach, very good. You got a sail up. Maybe just in a slight touch there, but nothing really to quibble about that one. Who's had a go at the heading up options? Let's have a look at Matt here. So Matt said the bearing away there. Yeah, so as you're turning away from the wind, you're bearing away from it there. Again, you're bearing away there. You're bearing away there as well. So you wouldn't be heading up, you'd be bearing away. This is the only one really, I think, where you'd actually be heading up. So you're actually turning the nose of the boat through to the wind. Let's have a look at my answers on this. So we've got, I've only filled in the thing, I didn't fill in those actually. But so just one to notice here, I don't know if you remember seeing it. So this is where the sails on either side of the boat. So you're on dead run. Now with a dead run, if you've got a boat where you've got 2 sails, so they've got the jib sail at the front, what you can actually do is put your jib sail out on the other side. So you know you're dead run, you can actually grab hold of it and push it across. And what that does is we call it goose winging. So instead of having one sail tucked behind the other, you've got 2 sails out, one smaller than the other, but 2 sails are catching the wind and pushing you down. So that's called a goose wing, head on down. We'll talk about tacking and jibing as a risk, but obviously you've got the risk that if the wind is to get behind this sail here, it could just sweep it straight across. And if your head is in the way there and ahead of your crew, then that might get knocked. But also, if you've got stays on your boat, if your boom was to hit those stays with force, then it could actually damage and demast your boat. So it's something to just be a little bit wary of. All be well, that's very clear. If you've got any questions, feel free to chat them in or put your hand up if you want to ask me a direct question. Otherwise, we'll do a little fun quiz. So I'll just get that ready. Okay, I'll share the screen. So what we'll do is, as we've done before, answers on a keyboard to the questions. What's point of sale are we on now? Can everyone tell me what point of sale we're on now? Stick it in chat. Okay, so Matt's saying broad reach. Broad beam reach. Yeah, I'd say it's probably a broad reach. You could beam reach. You're just slightly off beam reach. Beam reach is pretty much you would be directly onto the side of the wind there, but broad reach would be fine. Now, let me sneaky with the wind positions on these. So, what point of sale are we on here then? Can everyone see that? Beam reach, beam, broad reach. Yeah, so the wind's coming over the directly over the side. I'd say broad beam reach probably would be a good answer there. This one, what position are we in here? What point of sale? No, the wind position. Close haul, close haul. Yeah, that's pretty much you're on that edge of that wind. So you're on the edge of the triangle. If you were to push that too much further towards the wind, then your sail would begin to sag. Another one here for you. Beam reach, beam reach. Yeah, a lot of beam reaches going on, aren't there? Not quite a run now because the wind's coming over the side, so it's coming directly over. If you were to hoist that sail in too much further, then it would be at risk of a capsize. What about this one? Dead run, dead run. Run, yeah. Basically, yeah, you're on a run. Dead run there, so you've got the wind directly behind you on that. Now this is, hopefully you can understand from the illustration here, what sailing position was I talking about? I've just been talking about it just then. So if I was in this position here, what kind of position are we in? What am I doing with my sails? Wing on wing, goose wing, yeah. Goose wing, excellent. Yep, so that's goose wing. So I've got my sail out over my port side. I'm actually I'm in the starboard sailing position here, so because I'll be sat on my side here, or I might be kind of with the crew inside the boat, just trying to keep the boat nice and flat. I've got a little bit of centreboard down, so just a little bit peeking out there at the bottom, and I've got my jib sail across. And of course, remember that the risk is that if the wind is to get behind that sail, then it would sweep that across. These stays here that are holding up the mast might get damaged as part of that. When we talk about jibes in a bit more detail, what we'll say though before you instigate a jibe is it's a good idea just taking a couple of hands full of the sheet just to pull the boom away from the stay, so that when it goes over and you're holding onto it, because you always hold onto your main sheet, when it sweeps across, it won't hit the stay itself. So, well, thank you very much. So that's it for in terms of the session this week. I'll stop presenting. I'm going to give you a quiz and a task to do for next week, and that is I want you to find some pictures of boats, whether you look at them online. You can do a digital version of this, or you can do a paper version of it, but I'd like you to pull together some examples of different types of boats. A bit of a stick and pace exercise, or just grab some pictures, but various different types of sailing dinghies. You can look for some bigger yachts as well, and pirate ships if you really want, but I'm looking for just some interesting examples of different types of sailing dinghies, sailing boats, and we'll talk through those as being options. But I hope you've enjoyed the session tonight. Short and sweet as ever. The recording will be available, so you'll be able to watch it back, and we'll circulate out the items as well. Just to tell you also, just very quickly, I've started a podcast on Spotify. So if you search "Learn to Sail" on Spotify, I'll put it in the chat here. it's basically an audio podcast description of sailing techniques. So if you do want to listen to that, then please do help yourself. If you search Learn to Sail on Spotify, it will be coming out on iTunes and Google Android as well at some point, probably another week before it gets published on there. But if you're on Spotify, then have a look at that. Okay, thank you very much. If you want to chat to me after in the main room, I'll see you in a second, but thank you.